Don't go people walking in Africa. There are no hippos, not even hyenas. There are machetes, spears, and aborigines. To run across all of Africa in 240 days, a 27-year-old Briton, Russell Cook, decided to undertake such a bold experiment. The marathon started in April 2023, but by the midpoint, the situation was already getting out of control. On the second day of the run, he fell behind his support group in the Democratic Republic of Congo due to impassable roads on the route. The athlete tried to find his team in a nearby village, but he chose an unfortunate place and time. He was surrounded by a dozen naked men with machetes. They led him into the thicket, and that's when he thought it was the end. He knew there were cannibal tribes in these forests. The runner didn't lose his nerve, threw his bag, and bolted. He then spent several more hours making his way through impenetrable jungle. But he withstood the ordeal and finished in Tunisia. And did you know that the tradition of eating one another dates back to distant antiquity? For example, in the early 90s, in the Spanish cave of Gran Dolina, traces of a bloody feast nearly 800,000 years old were found. They found animal bones there, but among these bones was a very large number of human bones, and these human bones bore the marks of teeth, knives, and flint tools. That is, the bones were clearly smashed to extract the bone marrow. Why did people eat each other? At first, historians believed hunger was the sole reason. After all, it's easier to catch and kill a human than a wild animal. But it turned out that eating a neighbor for lunch was part of rituals. If you don't taste human flesh, the hunt will be unsuccessful and you will lose the war. Such beliefs were typically characteristic of many indigenous and aboriginal peoples. Some of them believed that this was how the strength of your enemy was transferred to you. Officially, there are no cannibals in the world today. After all, eating your neighbors is forbidden by law. But far from officials and police, the law means little to some people. There are now about 5,000 tribes and peoples on Earth. More than 100 of them are isolated. For example, in the southeastern part of Papua New Guinea lives the Korowai tribe. Tourists have begun to visit them more and more often. Journalists, researchers, simple onlookers, and even gourmands. Blogger Will Son Buckner, who calls himself Sonny, travels the world trying different exotic dishes. He dreamed of trying something truly out of the ordinary. As a result, for lunch he received a traditional set, larvae with grass. The Korowai eat this all the time, and instead of bread, they have flatbreads made from the sago palm. Just a few decades ago, these aborigines didn't even suspect that besides them and their not-so-beloved neighbors, there were other people on Earth. But they had no doubt they were surrounded everywhere by gods and spirits. Evil spirits live on the ground, uncanny animals live on the ground, and death lives on the ground. Therefore, you absolutely must build your house in a tree, in a banyan tree, at a height of 10 to 15 meters. You must move exclusively along the branches. The Korowai didn't start climbing the treetops for no reason. It's a way to prevent the evil spirits that walk on the ground from taking their souls. And if a close relative dies, the whole extended family must eat them. This way, the ancestor's soul will remain with the clan and protect it. Slain enemies and visiting tourists are also suitable for the menu. In short, anyone who makes you want to take a bite out of them. A case in point is the story of Michael Rockefeller, son of Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest men on the planet. He went to study the Korowai, entered the forest, and vanished without a trace. To this day, there has been neither hide nor hair of him, and no remains have been found. Most researchers assume the young man was eaten. However, theories differ as to who exactly did it. Some believe it was the Korowai, others the Asmat tribe. They also aren't opposed to human flesh and are quite bloodthirsty. In my village, cannibalism has been forgotten, but not in others. An evil spirit, an enemy, or a sorcerer must be destroyed and eaten. Friends, I would like to recommend you a channel where you will find historical documentaries and deep dives into the past, from ancient civilizations and forgotten legends to historical secrets and untold stories. We bring history to life with expert narration and stunning visuals. Explore the history of ancient empires, historical figures, and rare historical facts, revealing the secrets of the past. The link to the channel will be in the description under this video. And yet, tourists are still drawn to the savages. Foreigners are confident that if they pay the Papuans generously, there is nothing to fear. But they are mistaken. In 2011, 40-year-old Stefan Ramin was vacationing on the island of Nuku Hiva in the Pacific Ocean. There he met a local guide, Hayiti, who invited him to go goat hunting. The guide returned alone, saying there had been an accident. The police immediately descended on the island and made horrifying discoveries. Near a campfire was a large pile of completely shattered bones. It turned out these were the remains of the missing tourist. The guide was blamed for his death, and Hayiti was sentenced to 28 years in prison. But even in court, he declared he didn't kill anyone, he didn't eat anyone. Ordinary sailor Emil Pettersson could never have imagined he would become a king. And it all began with a disaster. The merchant ship on which the sailor and his crew were sailing sank in the Pacific Ocean. Patterson was lucky. The current carried him to the tropical island of Tabar, in Papua New Guinea. The stranger was found by the local savages and taken to the chief. The chief, as well as his warriors, was amazed by the blue color of his eyes, a rather unusual appearance. In general, the Aborigines had rarely seen Europeans, and of course, such things surprised them and they didn't eat him immediately. Patterson quickly realized if he just sat and waited, he would end up in the soup. So he began to actively engage with the Aborigines, teach them new things, and try to become indispensable to them, and his bet paid off. He began to develop agriculture among them, advised the chief to grow coconuts on the fertile land, and then trade them with travelers passing the islands. Immediately, the tribe began to grow wealthy. The pleased chief even married his daughter off to the enterprising European. The couple had 9 children, and after the death of his father-in-law, Patterson became the rightful ruler of the island.
Well, friends, I hope you found it interesting. If so, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to always be aware of new releases. And in the comments, write what you think. Your opinion is really important. See you in the next video.